So what do if you got a lawyer, you filed for a divorce, and then the coronavirus hit? What do you do now? I'm Karen Covey. I'm a divorce advisor, attorney, mediator, and coach. And unfortunately, the situation that I just described is very real for a lot of people right now. And if that's the situation that you find yourself in, you're probably super, super frustrated and you just want to get your divorce over with. You want to move forward and you can't. So what do? Well, there actually are some things that you can do. You have at least some options maybe that you haven't thought about. And the first option, the first thing that you should do is call your lawyer. Because even though the courts in most places are closed right now, or at least working at limited capacity, your lawyers are not. Your lawyers they're working virtually, but they're still working. So they'll take your phone calls, they'll take your emails, you can schedule a virtual conference with them. And when you do that, you want to ask them a couple of things. Number one, what's the status of the court system in my area right now? In other words, what's going on with the court where your divorce is pending? Because every single state is different and every single court system within every state is different. And they're all operating under their own rules, and those rules can be very different right now. So you want to know from your lawyer, what is your court system doing right now? What can you get done and what can't you get done? And you got to get very clear on that. So that's step number one. Step number two is, what can you do, even within the court system, within the constraints that we have right now, what can you do to move your case forward? Because that's step number two for you. If your lawyer needs you to gather information, to get together documents, to work on a settlement proposal, to do whatever it is that you might need to do that's going to be the next step to move your case forward, if it's within your control, if it's something you can do, then that's what you can do. And that will keep your case moving forward. Sometimes even, it won't make any difference that the court's closed. If you can still do your part, you can keep things moving forward. That'll help. Step number three is to consider mediation. Because mediation, there's some mediation that is part of the court system, but a lot of it is totally independent. And all the mediators are working. And again, mediators are working virtually. And, you can meet them either by teleconference, by video conference. There's a lot you can do. And you can move your case forward and get a settlement agreement, start your lawyer working on the paperwork. There's all kinds of things you can do in mediation right now today. The only catch is, in order to use mediation, both you and your spouse have to agree to use mediation. So if your spouse won't agree, that can be a problem. But if he or she will agree, going to mediation is a really good option. Step number four is to consider your priorities. Here's what I mean by that. You may be able to mediate your divorce, but if you and your spouse are still living together while you're mediating your divorce and your kids are living with you, that can make for a very, very uncomfortable situation in your life, right? Even if the lawyers are negotiating settlement and the lawyers are fighting, well, if your lawyers are fighting, that's going to trickle down to the two of you, and now the two of you are fighting, and there's your kids, and nobody can leave, and that might not be the way you want to live right now. So if your priority is to have a relatively peaceful home environment until this crisis is passed, then maybe your divorce has to take a back seat, and that's okay. Or if you really are determined to move your divorce forward quickly, then maybe you're okay living in a less than comfortable situation at home right now. But everything is about choices. And so you've got to make your priorities and decide what matters to you the most so that you can do the right thing. And there really are no right or wrong answers in general. It's just what's right or wrong for you and your family. So think about it, and then that will help guide you in what you do or don't do. Then the fifth tip I have for you is one you're not going to like very much. And that is, if you've done everything else. So you found out what you can and can't do in the court system. You've talked to your lawyer. You've done everything you can do to move your case forward. You've made your priorities. Your spouse won't go to mediation. Now what? And the truth is, there may not be much that you can do. You have to look at what you can control and what you can't control. And you do what you can, but after you've done everything you can, it may be time to just let go and say, you know what? For as long as this crisis lasts, I can't think about it. I can't deal with it. I've done everything I can. I'm going to let it go, focus on other things in my life, and then as soon as the crisis is over, I'll be ready to move forward. May not be a perfect solution, but it may be the best one you've got. So I hope you found something in here that was useful for you. If you did, give the video a thumbs up, like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.